Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Political Profile here as our political focus on the election coming up on the 4th of November, in just a few weeks away. Hello, everybody. I'm Kenny Fogle. Glad you could join us tonight here on Central Kentucky TV. And we're going to talk a little bit about the sheriff's race tonight. It's a race that is coming up as well, so it's a race that you'll be making a decision on, and that's what our job is. Our job is to educate and inform, just let you know a little bit about the race that's coming up, first of all, and secondly, let you a little bit know about the candidates that are going to be running in the race. So I'm going to introduce both candidates here, and I'll let them tell you a little bit about themselves. JT, I'm going to start with you. So, JT, tell us a little bit about who JT Fulkerson is and what we need to know about you.
Well, J.T. Fulkerson, I'm 54 years of age. I was born and raised in Nelson County. I was blessed enough to get to buy the farm that I was born and raised on after my dad passed away a few years ago. I'm the son of Doris Fulkerson and the late J.T. Fulkerson. I've got one brother and three sisters, Bill Houck, Kathy Danner, Luann Summers, and John Pettyjohn. I've been married a little over 26 years to Tammy Harden Fulkerson, and I've got a daughter, Kimberly Fulkerson, that's a senior at Thomas Nelson, and a Trey, we call him Trey, it's John Thomas Fulkerson III, so we call him Trey. He's a sophomore at Thomas Nelson.
Okay.
I've been a public servant in law enforcement for people of Nelson County for over 26 years. I started out as a jail and went to the city police, and for over the last 16 years been at the sheriff department, you know.
Okay.
And,
all right. Well, we'll turn to Ed. Ed, you got this little pedigree as well in the all law enforcement business. Tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, Kenny, first I'd like to thank you for having us here. It's been a long road since November, and I appreciate the media covering the races so well. It helps get our names out there and helps inform the public. Mm-hmm. But I graduated from Bardstown High School in 1987. I grew up in Bardstown on South 4th Street, and my mother was Frankie Mattingly, and my father was late Sim A. Mattingly, World War II veteran. My mother ran an old bowling alley on Stephen Foster Avenue, went by the name of Frankie. I have 6 sisters and a brother, and we were all raised in the same house there, in the house that my mother rented for 44 years. Straight out of high school, I joined the United States Army. Was in the United States Army for 2 years, and then the National Guard for 6 years while I attended Eastern Kentucky University, where I obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in Police Administration. I started with the Bardstown Police Department in 1995 as a patrolman, Nelson County Sheriff's Office in 2001 as a deputy, detective in 2005. Shortly thereafter, was a deputy, special deputy United States Marshal under then United States Marshal Rick McCubbin, who's now the city police chief. And when Sheriff Steve Campbell came on board, I was appointed sergeant and have served as a night shift supervisor during his term. During my career, I have went to several schools, one of which was the Kentucky Criminalistics Academy, which concentrates on crime scene investigation and evidence collection. The Academy of Police Supervision, which is for first line supervisors, and many other schools through my time. Served in many different positions, and look forward to the challenge of serving as Nelson County Sheriff.
All right. Well, I ask you right off, JT, and I ask Ed the same question. Basically, somewhere in the last year or so, you decided you want to run for sheriff, and there's probably a reason why you want to run. I mean, is there anything in particular, or is it just something you've been wanting to do for a while?
Well, it's actually been kind of bowling before the last year or so. I talked to Steve, before I did decide to run, I talked to Steve Campbell, made sure he wasn't going to run again, you know, out of respect as him being the sheriff. But there's been a need in the sheriff's office for several years. The sheriff duties, in my opinion, because I've worked under 3 sheriffs. I started with Jimmy Riley, when he was sheriff, so I've been around a little while. Our sheriff department seems like it has went more to police oriented instead of sheriff oriented. Sheriff under statute has certain duties that have to be performed. And I feel strongly that those duties aren't being performed as they should be. And I see that every day, you know. There's civil process and subpoena process and things that need to be served to keep the ball rolling in the court system. Criminal summonses, you know, like code checks and things like that need to be served. Because if those aren't served, it just passes it on to the public, you know, as far as pricing things. I just see the need to get back into the sheriff's role. Now, part of the sheriff's role is law enforcement, don't get me wrong. But the primary duties, and this is, you know, according to the legislature from Frankfort, is the court systems and the civil process. And then the law enforcement part comes in secondary to that. I believe I've got a way figured out on how to do that. I think Ed agree with me here that we're short-handed everywhere in the whole department. I believe there's ways that we can make things work, but we still need more people, you know. But sometimes you have to do with what you got to do with.
I understand.
So, you know, the sheriff department, in my opinion, for a long time, and Ed might agree and Ed might disagree, I don't know, but that's just my opinion. You know, I'm been known to voice my opinion more than once. Gets me in trouble sometimes.
I understand that.
But there's been a lot of double standards and favoritism in the sheriff department for several years. And it has affected the moral of the deputies in the department. I feel like it's affected the performance of the deputies in the department, which has bled over into the public. I have several times people have come to me, and I suppose where I've been in, you know, for around 26 some years, that have come to me confidentially and, you know, told me, you know, the way they have been treated for no reason, you know, for a traffic stop and the way they were talked to and confronted, and I have a problem with that. And, you know, and if elected sheriff, that is one of my things, that I will definitely treat people with respect, be honest and fair with them, and I will demand that my deputies do the same.
All right. Well, you know, you've been in this law enforcement business for a while, and the sheriff's race is something you obviously given a lot of thought and decided to throw your hat in, and now you're a politician.
Well, you have to become a politician to
You
get
have
the top
to.
spot.
It just sort of goes to the territory.
But I've known since I was 13 years old that I wanted to be a policeman. So I've spent pretty much my adult life preparing for that, and I've never been a person that wanted to sit back at the lower level. I always wanted to be the person at the top. And over the years I've worked towards that position, and I've been very observant. I've had many good leaders that I've worked for, and I've had leaders that were weak in some areas but strong. Everybody's got strong points. I try to look at the strong points and learn from that, and look at the mistakes and learn from those too. And I've got all that stored. I've worked in different areas of the department, and I know what areas are weak and need improvement. I personally don't want to burden the public with any complaints internally. I know what's broken, and I know how to fix it. I think that if you take care of your people on the inside and you hold them accountable and you operate the department efficiently and you take care of the inside, it will reflect on the outside. I haven't made any promises, but I know that I'm going to work towards making it one of the best departments in the state. And the main thing is being observant and reacting to what you see. We collect data. The policemen are kings of collecting data, but there's no need in collecting data if you're not going to react to what it tells you. And we have all the computer stuff in place. We make the reports, yet nobody's paying attention enough to react to the data, whether it's data on an individual officer, whether it's total data for the department, whether it's data on vehicles. You got to react to what it's telling you. And when you do that, you'll run an efficient department, and the people out in the public will see what the results are.
Okay. Well,
Can I
JT.
respond to that?
Well, absolutely. I was going to go back to you anyway and see what your issues were.
I think it got beat on how long, Ed beat on how long I've been wanting the law enforcement. I got a picture beside my TV in my living room, me in a little pedal police car with my dog when I was, I don't know, probably 2 years old. I might have him beat there.
Well, like I said,
But
well, basically, that's what I guess the other question I have. I always like to know what the issues are. Now, and obviously, you know the issues a whole lot better than I do because you're there every day. You're in the court system, or you're working with the sheriff's department as a detective, something or other. So, what issues do you see right now that are really affecting Nelson County that you think that the sheriff's office could have an impact on?
I think I've already mentioned some of the issues.
Mm-hmm.
And until you get those issues straightened out, it's going to be tough to get the sheriff department back on the right road.
So you see more of an internal. There's a lot of internal things.
I
that
think
need
it
to be
has
fixed.
started internal
Mhm.
and has bled over to the public. And the reason I say that, because I mentioned double standards while ago on favoritism. You know, there has been people promoted and for favoritism, not because of performance, not because of morals, not because of seniority, not because of, you know, like I said, job performance and things like that, but it's favoritism. I've had it happen to me. I've had people promoted over top of me when I had more experience, and I actually had to teach the people the job that they were promoted to do
Yeah.
because I knew the job. It leaves a sour taste in people's mouths, you know, and when you do that, it makes that person, you know, say, well, you know, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I working hard to try to walk up the ladder when they're just bringing people in and putting them above me? I'm not trying to point fingers or anything. I'm just trying to bring out what I see is going on and why it has.
How do you take the politics out of the job? I mean, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
One way is performance. You know, we've got civil process and like I stated earlier that's mandated through legislature. You know, and I've got a book that states all this. You know that subpoenas and criminal summons and things like that are above the law enforcement stage. Performance. How many times have you tried to serve your process? How many miles did you drive? How many times did you have to go? You know, data sheets, you know, heads on data and data sheets, you know, saying this is what I have done today. Yeah. This is how many subpoenas I've served. This is how many criminal summons I've served. Now, that being said, with us being short of help, which I intend, I'm going to say I intend when I win the sheriff's race, to go to fiscal court and bang on the desk and say, look, the people demand that we serve them as a public servant. We need more deputies. But, you know, performance is one thing, morals, fairness to people, you know, honesty to people, respect to people, seniority I think ought to play a role. There's several things I think should play a role in how you gain rank or how you climb the ladder, and it has been a struggle for a long time, and you know, just to put it bluntly, and I'm a pretty blunt feller, you know, it started right after the merger several years ago.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, Ed, you know that you mentioned a few minutes ago about data, keeping up with data, and using the data, but also and I know you also indicated that you believe a lot of the internal stuff could be taken care of internally without the airing the dirty laundry out in the public as well. So, is this something you see that you?
Yeah, well, you know, I understand what JT's talking about, and there are some legitimate complaints, but I'm going to address those issues. I mean, directly. One of the issues I get a lot of times is that JT makes the same money as a guy out working the road, and they feel that it's not fair that he gets to work Monday through Friday with holidays off while they're working weekends. And I explained to JT, you know, I said, that when I take office, I'm gonna get you a police car and a computer just like everybody else, and we'll take care of the court system with law officers that have retired. You don't have to pay the benefits that you have to pay with the ones that haven't retired yet. So you got a cheaper labor source. You can hire more of them, and I think it'll be more efficient.
Okay.
I'd like to address that.
We're here.
Me and Ed have known each other a long time. I consider him a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But Eddie has never worked in the courthouse. He don't know the court system. He don't know what it takes to run the courthouse. He said he was going to get me a car and basically put me back out on the road. I'm not able to go back out on the road. I was in a bad wreck in '02 and they put a plate in my neck, and you know, I've got disabilities, if that's what you could say. You know, I mean, not major, but enough that if I'm put in a certain position and turn a certain way, is that it affects my health very much. But I have stuck it out. You know, I was blessed enough, and I call it a blessing, blessed enough to get to come back to the courthouse. Mike Newton was blessed enough to let me come back to the courthouse. So I feel like, you know, he saw something in me to keep me. And I've been at the courthouse since '03, I think, '02 or '03. Mm-hmm. But before that, you know, I was out on the road. Now technology has gotten better. County has gotten bigger. I know that. I see it every day in the courthouse. But at one time, you know, we were shorthanded then. We're shorthanded now. You know, we served papers. We answered calls. We did the transporting. We did all the things that they do now with less men. But and you know, nothing against Ed. Ed's a good patrol officer. He knows what's going on out there. But he's never worked in the court. He don't know what it takes to run the courthouse. And you can't do it on part-time help. You can have some, but there are certain positions there that need to be full-time. And somebody got to teach them those positions. You can't just walk in there and start doing it. There's more than just standing in the courtroom and listen to the judge talk. I mean, we I'll give you a quick example. Last Thursday, we transported over 40 inmates from the Nelson County Jail to the courthouse. That's how big our dockets were. I just put, I was promoted to sergeant not long ago at the courthouse, and you know, I make the schedules and things now, and I set up the transports. We just got 10 more transports in today for court. So, you know, there's a lot more than just standing in the courthouse. And as far as fairness goes, I put my time in. I deserve just as much money as the regular deputy gets, but I'm not getting as much as they are because they've got a car to drive home. You know, they can drive their car to the grocery. They can drive their car wherever they want to through the county, which I don't think is a bad thing because it's a deterrent for people. But that, to me, that's not a legitimate complaint because I'm second in seniority in the sheriff's office. There's one other man who's been there longer than me. So, you know, I think seniority ought to come into play when it comes to promotions, like I said earlier, and pay and whatever. You know, pay should be based on performance and not.
Okay, well, Ed, you've seen the sheriff's office. Obviously, most people only know what the sheriff's office does. I mean, I know you collect taxes and the law enforcement, as we mentioned, but there are other things such as the court system, and that's something that you probably have an opinion on.
There is a whole lot going on at the courthouse that people don't know, and like JT said, there is more to it than just law enforcement. When I started policing in '95, we did everything with an ink pen and a piece of paper, and turned it over. And when you got back to the office, your report was done. Now we have computers in cars. Everything's electronic. The warrant system, the summons system. It's all right there in your vehicle. It's come a long ways, but there's more to it than we've got prisoner transports. We've got court security. We collect taxes is one of the main things that we do that's very important, yet it's not necessarily handled by the deputies. The sheriff is responsible for collecting the taxes, But we've got some very sharp ladies in the office that take care of that
Yeah, I get to
business.
meet them once a year.
But on a national average, you have one policeman per 500 people. And Rick McCubbin with the city police has been able to get his department to that level. So I like to use the comparison of the city police and the county police. They're running, I think, about 27 sworn, and we're running 23 or 24 with the extra responsibilities and covering all of Nelson County, where they're running a 2-minute response time. We might get up to 45 minutes sometime. And I don't remember what talk show it was on. They were asking about response times, and I said, it's according on what's happening. If you're being stabbed, a 2-minute response time's not quick enough. So
You're the stabber or the stabbee, I guess it depends on which one you are.
but you know, the more people you have, the easier it's going to be. But you have to be able to afford that.
Yeah.
And you know, fortunately, fiscal court subsidizes the sheriff's budget by more than half, and it's ultimately going to be, the ball's going to be in their part to whether they want to give you more men or not. And I've got an idea on how to adjust things to make it more efficient, and I can do it with less people or I can do it with more people. It's just how well do you want to do it.
Okay. Well, JT, I'm going to let you wrap things up here and tell the voters what anything we may not know about you, and why is it the voters ought to vote for you?
Well, I've been a public servant to Nelson County, people in Nelson County for over 26 years. Like I said, I started at the jail with Austin Weller, and went to the police department, and they sent me to the academy. Then, like I said, I've been with the sheriff department over 16 years and worked under 3 different sheriffs. Every one of my steps in my 26 years has given me something to build on. I have had continuous education, you know, just like Ed and all the other sworn deputies, you know, that take different classes and keep updated on things that go on. So, you know, it's not like I haven't been to school and know what's going on. I've seen every aspect of the sheriff's department. Talking about taxes, I used to, you know, stand at the desk and go through that book that you flopped out there and write out the receipt by hand and give it to the people, you know. That's how long I've been around, you know. But things have come a long way, things have modernized. But we're still public servants. You pay our taxes. You know, everyone that pays the taxes pay our salary. We answer to the public. The sheriff answers to the public. The sheriff's deputies should follow the sheriff's lead as treating people with respect, being honest and fair with them. Now, you know, there's times, you know, you got to do what you got to do, you know. But I have a problem with deputies or any law enforcement officer, as far as that goes, disrespecting people.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. That is one of my pet peeves. I'm a public servant. I believe as a high sheriff that I can serve the people well with my experience. I also will protect the Constitution. I've seen in the court several times where constitutional rights have been violated, and I won't tolerate that.
Okay.
And I will have an open door policy to people. You know, I want them to come to me and talk to me confidentially. And that's one thing that we have lost over the last several years that I have seen, is that people have lost the trust. A lot of trust. Not everybody, but a lot of people have lost trust in law enforcement because of their actions, because of their morals, because of, you know, the way they treat people. And yes, it gets rough out there. It gets rough in the courthouse now and then. You know, I've had a couple rounds in the courthouse. But I know that I am well qualified. I know that I can do the job. And I've put in my time. over 26 years as a public servant. Somebody asked me the other day, you know, why don't you retire? You know, you've got enough time in. I said, because I'm kind of countrified, you know, in a way. Because I said, there's some wrongs that need to be righted. And I'm the man to right those wrongs if you give me a chance to do it.
All right.
I want to thank you for having us today. You made it comfortable where we can just sit down and talk, and that's what I like about things. We sit down and talk and kind of point out our views and
Well, hopefully,
where the public can see it. And
hopefully you get you, like I said, that's what the point is, get your message out.
so to the public, come November the 4th, I would appreciate your vote as the High Sheriff of Nelson County. The only promise I will make is that I will do the best of my ability with my experience and my knowledge to be the best job and do the best job I can do.
All right.
I want to thank you for having us and thank the people for watching. May God bless.
Okay. Well, yeah, let you have the final word here and make your final appeal as to why what should be voting for Ed Mattingly for sheriff.
Well, like JT, I have many years of service, but the difference I think between the two of us is I prepared myself for this job, and I am a leader, and the department and the guys are in need of leadership, and I am the person to fill that position. There is a need for fairness, and I plan on treating people fair and treating people with respect as long as I have during my whole career. I'm here to help people, and I'm here to help the guys that I work with, and I've prepared for many years for this position and obtained the education that you need to do the job and the work experience. And I look forward to serving the people of Nelson County as the next Nelson County Sheriff. And I'd like to thank you again for having us here. And I hope that people will look at the qualifications of the person and vote accordingly. I know JT's a good person and I'm a good person, and I don't like people just to vote for somebody because they're a good person. I want you to vote for the person that you think is going to be the best person to be the sheriff of Nelson County.
All right. And before you get away, I certainly want to thank both of you two for absolutely spending all those years in uniform. I mean, I admire both of you for what you've done, because just wearing the uniform, you're a target every time you walk out of the house. So you're doing a tremendous service to the people of Nelson County all these years, both of you. So not only thank you for being here tonight, just thank you for all these years of service you put into the people of Nelson County. And I want to thank all you as well for tuning in tonight and listening. And again, we're here to inform and educate, and hopefully you'll see a little bit about what you want to do, because it's up to you. Basically, we do this part, but your part's on the 4th of November. And on the 4th of November, we hope you come to the polls and we vote for the sheriff of your choice, JT Fulkerson, Ed Mattingly. We appreciate them being here, and we appreciate you tuning in on Political Focus. I'm Kenny Fogle saying so long, everybody. We'll see you on the 4th of November. Take care.